In just 1 year, the amount of fish sauce produced worldwide can weigh as much as 90,000 adult African elephants. Yet a good bottle can take more than a year to make, even though it begins with just 2 simple ingredients: fish and salt. What was once made by salting fish in wooden barrels has evolved into a massive industry. Today, tons of freshly caught fish are carefully selected, mixed with salt, fermented for months, then extracted, filtered, inspected, and bottled on modern production lines. But what actually happens from the moment the fish leave the sea to the moment the first drops of fish sauce flow from the fermentation tanks? Let's step inside the process and find out with Mido Explained. Born thousands of years ago, fish sauce began as a way for coastal communities to preserve their abundant supply of fish for longer before refrigerators existed. The ancient Romans had garum, while in Southeast Asia, fish and salt gradually created their own distinctive sauces, making their way from small fishing villages into the culinary life of an entire region. Hidden behind that strong aroma, which is almost impossible to mistake, is something completely opposite: umami, the savory taste that makes food feel fuller and richer. During fermentation, fish proteins are gradually broken down into natural flavor compounds. That is why sometimes just a few drops of fish sauce are enough to enhance the flavor of an entire dish, rather than simply adding saltiness. Yet on store shelves, 2 bottles of fish sauce with the same amber color can be worlds apart in terms of ingredients, fermentation time, protein content, and price. So, is a truly good bottle of fish sauce determined by how it is made, its price, or does it ultimately come down to the taste of the person enjoying it? The journey of fish sauce begins after the sun has set. Offshore, powerful lights are turned on in the darkness, drawing scattered schools of anchovies together into a shimmering silver mass beneath the surface. When the school becomes dense enough, Percy's seine nets are lowered and slowly closed, bringing tons of fish out of the sea in a single catch. But this is also when the real race begins. Anchovies have small, soft bodies and are easily damaged, while freshness directly affects the quality of the fish sauce later on. A single fishing trip can bring back more than 20,000 pounds, but this enormous amount of raw material must be handled almost immediately. Depending on the production method, the fish will be covered with ice to keep them cold or mixed with salt directly on the boat, helping slow down spoilage before reaching shore. Because with traditional fish sauce, the drops of fish sauce produced many months later may sometimes already be determined just a few hours after the fish leave the sea. When the fish are brought to the fish sauce facility, the race to preserve freshness ends, giving way to a much slower journey. The anchovies are placed together with salt in large fermentation tanks, then kept there for many months as the flavor gradually develops. Unlike most common methods of preparing fish, the anchovies here are fermented whole. The internal organs, which may seem to have no value, contain natural enzymes that help break down the fish meat from within. The proteins are gradually broken down into smaller components, including substances that contribute to the rich umami taste of fish sauce. At this point, salt acts like the gatekeeper of the entire process. It draws water out of the fish tissue while creating an environment salty enough to limit unwanted microorganisms. Therefore, the salt level must be carefully monitored throughout the fermentation period Then, the hardest part is left to time. Each fish gradually loses its original shape in exchange for something completely different. A dark, flavor-rich liquid that is quietly forming underneath. After many months of fermentation, the original mass of fish has softened and released a large amount of flavor-rich liquid. But the fish sauce is not simply released through a valve and sent straight into bottles. First, weight is maintained on the surface of the fish mass, keeping the ingredients tightly compressed and helping the liquid continue to drain downward. This liquid is drawn from the bottom of the tank, then it can be returned to the top to flow through the fish mass several more times. This circulation process helps the components blend more evenly while continuing to extract flavor from the fermenting ingredients. When it reaches the appropriate stage, the liquid is separated and passed through a filtration system to remove fish fragments and small remaining sediments. From an initially thick and cloudy mixture, what is obtained has now become clearer, richer in flavor, and carries the distinctive aroma of fermented fish. But does clearer fish sauce really mean better fish sauce? Or is it simply something that makes us feel that a bottle of fish sauce is more premium when we look at it? Leave your choice before we move on to the inspection stage. In a fish sauce facility, no two batches of fish sauce are completely identical. Even tanks placed next to each other, containing fish from the same fishing trip and fermented under similar conditions, can still produce finished products that differ in aroma, taste, and protein content. This unpredictability makes the final quality control steps especially important. Each batch will be evaluated for saltiness, color, aroma, and protein content. The 40 degrees north number on the bottle is not temperature or alcohol content. It is an indicator related to the nitrogen and protein content in fish sauce, one of the important measures used to evaluate the finished product. In fact, tanks in the same fermentation facility can range from about 38 to 42 degrees north. Therefore, different batches will be blended in suitable proportions, both to bring the protein content to the desired level and to keep the color, aroma, and flavor consistent across thousands of finished bottles. Nature may make each tank slightly different, but the job of the fish sauce maker is to ensure that the first bottle and the last bottle still have the same flavor. Once the final flavor has been decided, the work of time gives way to the speed of the production line. The fish sauce is sent to the filling area, where automated machines dispense a precise amount into each clean bottle. The bottles then move continuously along conveyors, where caps are fitted and tightened, labels are applied, and production information such as batch codes and dates is printed. Cameras or workers check fill levels, cap placement, labels, and visible defects before the bottles are grouped and packed into boxes for shipment. But that journey sometimes continues across entire oceans. Some traditional fish sauce brands are bottled in Hayward, California, with more than 95% of their production intended for export. From small schools of fish in the sea, the finished products are stacked on pallets and sent into distribution networks, traveling thousands of miles to appear in supermarkets, restaurants, and kitchens around the world. This is where the story becomes controversial. Two bottles of fish sauce can sit next to each other on the same store shelf, with almost the same color, but the journey behind them can be completely different. Traditional fish sauce is mainly made from fish, salt, and fermentation time, so the flavor can vary from batch to batch. Meanwhile, industrial products are usually blended according to a consistent formula, and depending on the type, water, sugar, or flavor enhancers may be added to balance the taste and suit the market. But industrial does not automatically mean lower quality. Just as the word traditional alone is not enough to guarantee that a bottle will taste better. One side values time and the characteristics of each batch, the other focuses on consistency, scale, and an affordable price. So, if you had to choose between a more expensive traditional bottle and a cheaper industrial bottle that suits your taste, which one would you take home? Share your opinion in the comments below. From small schools of fish in the sea to every drop of fish sauce on the dining table, that journey can take months, even more than a year. In a world where everything is being produced faster and faster, traditional fish sauce still depends on something that technology can hardly replace: time. Today, machines can find fish, control quality, and bottle thousands of bottles every day. But behind it all is still a method that has existed for generations: fish, salt, and human patience. Perhaps that is the most special thing. An ancient flavor can still survive in the modern world without losing the story that created it. Don't forget to subscribe to Mido Explained, and see you again on the next journey.